guys, welcome back to the Toks podcast. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. I hope you guys are having an amazing week so far. This week, I want to talk about wise men. And when I say wise men, I mean wise women. I mean your tribe. And you guys know I talk about this all the time, that I'm constantly seeking my wise men to walk me back off the edge of cliffs, to reduce my petty bone, to guide me and to help me. But this past weekend, I was having a conversation with some of my wise tribe, and I said something really casually in passing, something that I thought absolutely nothing of. It wasn't a big deal. It didn't matter, and it wasn't a cause for alarm. But immediately, I was checked on the error, or I guess I could say oversight, of my ways. The innocent behaviors that I was exhibiting, I never would have seen them as anything that could be a cause for alarm or something even worth talking about. I happened to just say a statement in passing, and quickly it was seen as an issue. And of course, I'm not easily wavered, but I'm also not deaf to sound advice and sound opinions. And upon hearing the opinions of my wise men, I realized that, they may just have a point. Something that I thought was completely innocent, not problematic, could potentially be seen as problematic. And it just made me so grateful to have the people that I have around me, the people who I surround myself with, the openness and transparency in the relationship that we have. So who are wise men? They're the people who you can go to when you can't go it alone. And they're friends, family members, sometimes coworkers, even though most coworkers are not your friends or your wise men. And your mentors. They're just the people who you know have your back. So I just wanted to give a little bit of insight into the benefits of what having wise men, and then some things to look for in considering who are your wise men. And if wise men is really rubbing you the wrong way, just think of it as your tribe. It's your tribe, but I just like to say wise men because I don't know, I always mentally take it back to like the three wise men, right? So, or like, yeah, so whatever floats your boat, if you want to call it tribe, it's the same stuff. It's just the people you surround yourself with. So the benefits of having your wise men are, first of all, they give you an alternative perspective. And as I said about what happened this weekend, that's what I was given. We live our lives from the lens of ourselves. There's no other way we can live it. We are in ourselves. We've had our experiences, and these experiences shape the way we see the world. It shapes what we see, what we don't see, what we overlook, what's a red flag to us, what can be a pink flag to us, what can be a white flag to us. And it just shapes the way we operate and maneuver. But the benefits of having wise men and people who you can go to is the fact that they see things differently because their life experiences, their maturity, their decisions, the way they were brought up offers them a varied view from you. And this can even be someone who's a sibling to you. Yes, you guys were raised by the same parents and in the same household, but there's still those fundamental personality differences that can make them see things completely different from you. Like, I have a sister, and for the most part, we're similar, but our disposition when it comes to a lot of fundamental things are quite different. I'd say I'm a lot bolder in terms of taking quote unquote risks, but at the same time, I'm way more shy, which I'm sure you guys might think is odd, but yeah, I'm actually very socially awkward. If you saw me in real life, I might just disappoint you compared to how I'm here on in your ears. Yeah, not on, in your ears. Yeah, so the first benefit of seeking wise men, seeking wise counsel, is it gives you an alternative perspective. The second benefit is that they can redirect you. And this is an important one. And I say it all the time, right? Like, they pull me off the edge of cliffs. I'm at a 10 and they can maybe get me down to a 7.5. Hardly ever can they really get me down to a 0, but because I am who I am, right? But they are the people who can redirect you when you're on that path that you think is so correct, and you're so gung-ho that you can't even see the yield signs, the poison ivy, the rattlesnakes up ahead, and any other thing that is necessary to consider, but for whatever reason is outside of your line of sight. That is where your wise men come into play. They help you see these things, and in helping you see it, they help redirect you. And redirecting you doesn't mean blocking you from completely going, but they give you that, as I said, alternative perspective that'll make you tilt your head and say, maybe, yeah, I thought I was on the right path. I thought this was innocent, but now when you look at it that way, I can see why you say it's not. And I'm going to tread a little lightly, or I'm going to look at it another way, or I'm going to pivot, or I'm going to redirect. I'm going to do whatever I need to do because this information is pertinent and important enough to make me change directions. Like if you think about a GPS, right? Like my favorite GPS is Waze. When you're on a path somewhere, there are many places that I have been so many times, but during rush hour, during different times of the day, if I haven't been there in a while, I turn on Waze, not because I don't know the direction, but because there might be something up ahead that I didn't consider, something that I didn't know existed, like traffic, like an accident that has blocked off a road, like construction that has turned a 3-lane highway into a 0.7 lane disaster that I really wouldn't want to be a part of. So I put on that GPS just to track my journey. I already know where I'm going, but anything that I can't foresee because it's outside of my purview, that GPS does that for me. So, and it redirects me so I can still get to my path, but at the same time, I'm avoiding some unnecessary pitfalls or delays that I can't see because I don't have the bandwidth to see it, right? And that is what our wise men do for us. A third thing that our wise men do is that they reassure you. And they are your cheerleaders. Like, I know a lot of times for the most part, I'm somebody who can really convince myself. If I decide that I want to do something, I will be my motivation, my cheerleader, the wind beneath my own wings, of course, with the support of God, but I don't necessarily need somebody to validate what I'm doing. But there are times where that validation does become necessary. And you can just refer back to last week's episode about mango trees to understand what happens when you're doing all the good work and you're not getting the reassurance and how it sometimes feels. But yes, your wise men are the people who can hype you, and they hype you in a way that you'll probably believe a little more than like the social media or the fans or the people who showed up at the end of your success, because they wouldn't lie to you, right? Someone who can redirect you when you're when you're off of the right path, when that person tells you you're doing well, it hits a little bit differently, right? Because yeah, you wouldn't lie to me because you haven't in the past. And when I mess up, you're not too scared to tell me that I'm messing up because you have something to gain. So those are the 3 benefits that, of course, among so many others, but those are the 3 main ones that I think we can really gain from having wise men, and why it's so important to have wise men. Like, the words to live by for this week, I'm gonna say it right now. No man is an island. And I think it's really important to have a group of people. And it doesn't have to be many people. It just has to be enough that you feel well-rounded and covered, because community does something to our growth. I cannot tell you how much support, how much opportunities I have gotten from places that I never would have been able to enter, doors that I didn't even have the keys to, but because my tribe is so far reaching and they love me enough to support me, I have been blessed in ways that I can't even begin to name or imagine. And that's the importance of having these people around you. And of course, I am that blessing to the people around me as well, in whatever capacity I have available. And in, of course, for them too, in the capacity they have available. Yes, wise men are good. It's important to have them, but it's also important to be discerning. Yes, that's the word. To be discerning when it comes to who your wise men are. And the thing about wise men is that they don't necessarily fit every script. The wise men I go to for relationship advice are not necessarily the wise men I go to for business advice, weren't necessarily the wise men I go to for money advice and friendship advice, etc., etc., etc. But when you are seeking your wise men, because these are going to be your confidants, right? These are the people who you're going to go to. There are a few things that I think are very important. And the first one is trust. Your wise men need to be trusted people in your life. These people need to be your safe space, because when you're confiding in people about the things that make you who you are, there's a lot of vulnerability there. And with vulnerability and like naked honesty, there comes a danger of betrayal. And that's where discernment comes and wisdom, right? Make sure that the people who are your wise men are people who you can trust with the information you're giving them. You need to feel safe. If it's somebody who you know is kind of loose-lipped, if there's a project, for example, that you're working on and you want nobody to know about it until it's done, except for one person who you just are so excited, but you know that person has the tendency to tell their closest friends, who are supposed to keep it a secret, who then tell their closest friends, and before you know it, the whole wide world knows. Maybe that is not the tribe member that you use for that specific situation. So make sure that your wise men are trusted. The second thing is making sure that your wise men are aligned with you. This is a key one. It can be a little bit tricky, but then again, we have a lot of different wise men, right? So whatever you're aligning with or whatever you're discussing, make sure that they're aligned. So one of the ways is in intention. Are they on the same page as you when it comes to what you're talking about? Because if you trust somebody and they give you advice about a situation that you're in, but they don't fundamentally believe in it, the advice they give you might not be what's best for you. It might be coded in their personal beliefs of what they think you should do, right? Like, for example, if you're dating someone and a friend of yours does not like that person, they never have, and it's not necessarily justifiable from your perspective, right? Seeking that person's counsel when it comes to that relationship, or even if you guys have a little disagreement, that person might tell you, break up with him, he's trash, right? And because their intention is for you, they believe that you deserve better than that. So they're not going to they don't want you entertaining it. They will come from that angle instead of an angle of what does this person need from me, and let me not be subjective. And this is life, right? Like, of course, as I said, people come from an alternative perspective, and that's what makes our wise men good. But at the same time, they should have your best interests in mind while also considering what you believe to be your best interest as well, and towing that line. Another way they need to be aligned is in their beliefs with yours. And this can be anything from religious beliefs to fundamental beliefs on whatever topic you're talking about. If your wise man is a Republican and you're a Democrat, or like a liberal conservative in Canada, and you're talking to them about a political decision you want to make and you're seeking guidance on it from them, maybe they're not the right person to do that with, right? And same thing for religion. If you're a Christian like myself and somebody believes in burning sage and putting crystals on your body to realign your whatever, when you're having a difficult time spiritually, they might not be the person you should go to, because they're not going to give you scriptures. They're going to give you something else. And for what you need, they are not aligned in that moment. Not saying that person is not going to be aligned when it comes to advice in other aspects, but it's important to know what you're going to someone for, right? Like, I know that I have family members who, if I want to just talk about something and vent, they're not going to let me do that. They're going to want to bombard me with scripture and tell me to pray about it. But can I just vent about it for a minute before you throw scriptures on me? Yes, I understand that those are important. And yes, I read my Bible and I'll need that. But in this moment right now, that is not what I need. So directing me towards Philippians is not the energy that I'm asking for, right? So make sure that the person is aligned. And another thing is aligned with your goals. If you fundamentally believe that self-employment is the way, and the person who you're going to believes that traditional employment is the way, and you're traditionally employed and you're talking to them about how you want to leave your job and how to strategize and plan, they're not the person to go to for that. And I think this is what becomes very important. And that's why it's a tribe, not just one person, because all of our talents vary and change. And the best way to utilize the people around you is to utilize the strengths that they have, not trying to create them into something that they're not, because all that's going to happen is that they're never going to be that thing. You're going to be frustrated and disappointed because they're not that thing. And in truth, you're just frustrated for no reason, because if you were to really use that discernment, you wouldn't have gone to them with that thing, right? So the second one is making sure they're aligned. And the three ways I gave are in intention and beliefs and in goals. And the last one, which I kind of touched on in the alignment, is making sure that your wise men are helpful in a way that is aligned with your disposition. And what I mean by this, there's many things actually that I could mean by this, but when I was writing this episode, what I meant by this was, if you know that you're somebody who needs a soft talker, someone who's honest with you but lays it down gently, don't go pick your blunt, no holds bar best friend to be the tribe member you go to when you need a soft place to land. Understand your disposition. Like, there are certain things that I do where I need someone to be like, yeah, snap out of it. You're being short-sighted. You're being dumb. Get it together. But there are other things that I talk to people about and I need the, you tried your best. Like, rub my head as I lay it on your lap type of energy. And making sure you understand the way people are so that you know what you're going to get from them, so you know what to go to them for, is essential. Just like I said, like, you don't want to end up going to someone and expecting them to give you something that they don't have to give, and then being disappointed and angry at them for being who they are, instead of at yourself for not thinking of that prior to going to them and expecting them to be something that they're not. Because all that does is lead to premium tears and heartbreak, any way you shake it, and frustration, of course. So yeah, those are the things that you should make sure your wise men have. It is so important. Like, as I continue to grow, as I continue to become this version of myself that I am so in love with because she's so wonderful, I am discovering the importance of the people I have around me. And more, I'm weeding out the ones who I don't want around me with a level of peace that I never even knew I could possibly attain. Like, I don't even care to entertain it. No hard feelings, nothing. Just, if this is not going to work for me, if it's not in my favor, if it's not aligned with my goals, I just do not have the bandwidth for it. And I am completely okay with letting it go. This takes a while, right? And it takes knowing where you're going and knowing it so confidently that you're able to not even be attracted to anything that looks outside of the goals that you've set for yourself. And part of doing that and part of becoming that confident person is knowing that you're backed by this tribe of people who love care about you, support you, have your back, aren't too scared to tell you the truth, and are willing to ride it out with you. And there's nothing in the world like it. Like, I guess this weekend, it just really hit home even more because I'm like, man, I could be out here making some crazy, innocent mistakes. Like, having no clue how detrimental my behavior could be just because I didn't talk about it out loud and because I assumed it was fine. And I didn't get that advice from the people who matter. And the thing is that when you're strongly set and firm, your wise men are your counsel, but at the end of the day, you're you, right? They will tell you things, as I said, from their alternate perspective. And you still have all the autonomy to decide whether you want to take that advice or thank them with all the love and kindness and trash that advice. All these options are still available. Information never killed anybody. Well, let me not say that, but good information and extra information never killed anybody, because at the end of the day, having this information and perspective doesn't necessarily mean it has to change yours. All it means is that your bank is just a little bit larger. There's just a few more things to consider. And sometimes when you consider all of those things, it helps you rebut all the potential deviations that could have come up on your foundation. So they might just help you make your foundation that much firmer, because anything anyone wanted to say, it's already been considered because your wise men have brought it to the table. So now you know exactly how to reply, exactly how to rebut, and exactly why you need to stay firm on exactly what it is that you're doing. So yeah, that is the importance of wise men. I just had to throw it in here. I think I've talked about it so many times, and I might even have an episode about it, but there are some things that are worth hearing over and over again. And the words to live by for this week, as I said, are: no man is an island. We can't do it alone. And wanting to do it alone is an ego thing. And it could be an ego thing because you think you're always right, or it can also be an ego thing because you've been hurt in the past and you don't want to experience that pain again. So the way you do it is by keeping a safe distance, which also, as you know, blocks you from feeling emotions, which are also good things, right? So don't be an island. Figure out the people who you can turn to and utilize them for their skills, because trust me, it will save you in the end. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye.